Hey guys, welcome to week 7 Snoozers or Losers. We're back after Kyle's done nursing a hamstring injury and Tony getting over his calf injury. Gosh, just kind of fitting in with the rest of the league there, fellas.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Yes.
It's been one of those type of years for sure.
It really has. I actually
Certainly
got
seems
a
that way.
hamstring. Actually pulled a hammy on one side and a calf on the other, so I'm just sliding like a dog just sliding on my rear end across the house right now.
All right. On that note, I'm just going to put you both in the loser column down there. How's that sound?
Well, Kyle's used to that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
all right, guys, y'all ready?
I'm always on the loser side, anyways. So,
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I know.
All right, y'all ready to hop into talks about some of these players?
Let's do it.
Sweet. All righty. Let's start with quarterbacks, and I'm going to start with Ryan Tannehill. We're going off of FantasyPros rankings, and he is ranked the number 8 quarterback this week against Kansas City. Do we think that's a little too high, too low? We think that's a snoozer or loser? Tony, we'll start with you. Is Ryan Tannehill a snoozer or loser against Kansas City this week?
I hate to call him a loser, but I do think that's a little bit high for Ryan Tannehill. Especially, it looks like Julio pulled up lame and it's still dealing with that hamstring injury. Although AJ Brown is back on track, I think from prior years' history with Tennessee and Kansas City, Tennessee really looked for them to go more ball control this game, really pound the rock with Derrick Henry. I don't see many opportunities in that passing game. I think they're going to try and control the clock. They're going to try and play strong defense. And Tannehill, he's really limited in options in that passing game, especially without Julio, just really A.J. Brown. So, it is a very favorable matchup. Kansas City has been on the positive side for fantasy quarterbacks this year. But and I know we've got a lot of guys on bye, but I probably have them just outside my top 10.
Cool. Kyle, what do you think? Snoozer or loser for the week?
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I think they're going to do a lot of. I mean, you've kind of seen the blueprint here over the last few weeks. Strong defense, take care of the ball, keep Mahomes off the field. So I think he's going to be a loser as well. Even against that great matchup, I just no. It's going to be the Derrick Henry show.
Has been so far.
Yeah.
All righty. Yeah. Easy peasy over there in the loser column. All righty. Let's get one maybe a little bit tougher for you guys. Ranked number 14 for the week, Tua versus Atlanta. What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, he's a snoozer for me. That's a fantastic matchup. And he came back last week and had a good game back from injury. So snoozer for me for sure. That's way low. I'd rather start him over Tannehill, who they have ranked much higher.
Yep.
So yeah, definite snoozer for me on Tua.
Cool. Tony, what are your thoughts on Tua?
I would agree. They don't really have much happening in that running game. Even Gaskin 2 weeks ago when he had his strong fantasy day was mostly in the receiving game, 10 receptions. Jaylen Waddle is getting on track. I would say this though, I like to keep an eye on an injury report. Devontae Parker has been dealing with a shoulder and a hamstring injury. He didn't make the flight to London, so there was a chance he was going to play in that game against Jacksonville. Decided to make him inactive. So keep an eye on the injury report. If you see Devontae Parker getting fired up, him, Waddle, Gesicki seems to be on track. I definitely have him in my snoozer column as well. And I would put Tua as one of the guys that in with this particular matchup against Atlanta, I put him in my top 10 this week starters.
Yep.
Yeah, so way higher being at 14. Would you play him over Tannehill, like Kyle?
100%. I would personally. Yeah, I put him over Tannehill. I think that you have a higher ceiling, higher floor, and the Atlanta defense just has not shown an ability at all to stop the passing game.
Perfect. All righty, guys. Let's move on to running back. All right. First, we got the number 6 running back for the week, DeAndre Swift against the Rams, and it's in LA against the Rams. Tony, what do you think about DeAndre Swift against the Rams this week? Snoozer?
Yeah, that probably is right in line with where he should be. The one thing that you're going to get with DeAndre Swift is you get a very, very safe floor because of those receptions. So what did he have? I was trying to find it here, 6 or 7 receptions last week, and he seems to be good for that almost every week. So just on the receptions alone, it's kind of the equivalent of a touchdown going into the game, and that's not including the receiving yards and plus his carries. I definitely put him up in my top 10. The Rams do have a solid defense, but look for him coming out of the backfield with a number of dump off passes against that defense. Definite snoozer.
Perfect. And Kyle, what do you think about Swift?
Yeah, I agree completely. Like you say, the Rams are going to put up points. They're going to have to keep up. He's going to be catching passes out of that backfield all day long. So, yeah, he's a snoozer for me as well.
Cool. Easy peasy. You guys are just on the same page tonight. I'll get you on one of these, guys. I swear I will. All righty. Number 14 for the week, Elijah Mitchell versus the Colts at home. Kyle, what do you think? Number 14.
I like Elijah Mitchell. He's having a good year. He's going to get a good workload. Indy's not a great matchup. They've got him ranked 14. I'm looking at that. Like, I'd rather start him over some of the guys that got ahead of him. So I guess that makes him a snoozer for me. They got Chase Edmonds ahead of him. I'd rather start Mitchell with that workload. Hubbard's getting a decent workload, but he's not been super efficient with them. I'm going to put Mitchell in my snoozer column. I think just based on volume alone, he's got a shot to get pretty decent points compared to some guys, especially in a big bye week like this. If you get a chance at a workhorse like that to start, then you got to put him in there.
Cool. Tony, what do you think?
Yeah, this is, I think, where we're going to differ. I'm going to disagree with Kyle on Mitchell. Indianapolis has been surprisingly strong against the run, and I just don't trust the San Francisco running back position just yet. I don't know exactly what we're going to get in Mitchell, and I could think of a handful of guys that you can probably pick up off waivers that I might start in place of Mitchell. Now, if you have him on your roster, you're most likely starting him this week with all the buys. But I do not have him in my top 14. I'd actually put him outside my top 20, just because of the uncertainty with Mitchell and not really knowing what we're going to get there in San Francisco.
Cool. Hey, I get to play the game. Here I am. I'm in the game, guys.
This is the first time you get to make a decision here, huh?
Yeah, I feel like this has been a delay of game. I haven't gotten to play yet. Okay. So, looking at some of these running backs that are kind of ranked behind him, I'm kind of agreeing. I think Elijah Mitchell has a good potential. He gets a great amount of volume there. Sermon's not much to worry about.
Because looks like you're on the fence. So while you're debating,
I'm not on the fence. I know what I'm going to say.
Let me add one more thing too. He doesn't have those receptions, and so you're really depending on him to get the yards, running the ball, and then he becomes touchdown dependent.
Kyle, do you have a final bribe of the referee here before I make a decision?
No,
you said all you needed to say.
Yeah, I'm satisfied with what I said already.
Okay, well, Tony, know that you did not sway me at all, but Benjamin Franklin could sway me. I'm just throwing that out there. So
what about our friend George Washington
and his twin brother George Washington?
Exactly.
So my issue is that matchup against Indianapolis and it being his first game back, and Trey Lance still at quarterback, runs the ball quite a bit as well. I'm just not sure what to expect from Elijah Mitchell there. I'm actually I'm gonna side with Tony on this one, and I'm actually gonna put him over here in the losers for this week, but I am playing him in multiple leagues in my lineup because of bye weeks and injuries. I mean, I think that's where most people are at anyways. I think he's gonna do decent. But not great. I think 14 maybe even a little high for him there. I think I would rather play like a JD McKissick even over him probably this week. So
to each their own, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. He's playing Green Bay. I could see him catching some good passes there. So okay, so that does that. 'Tis the final ruling, loser. Okay. Let's go on to wide receivers. I don't have a cool thing like I did running backs for that one. So just yeah, it's looks weird anyways, because that looks like I'm dancing. Let's go on to wide receivers. Number 15 ranked Robert Woods against Detroit. Kyle, what do you think about Robert Woods? Bobby Trees against Detroit this week.
You know, I'm just looking at who they have ranked below him, and I'm actually going to throw him, even though he's already really low, I'm going to throw him in my loser column against Detroit. I think they're going to run the ball a lot against Detroit, for one. And for two, there's a lot of guys underneath him with good matchups that I'd rather start. Marquise Brown. Oh, wait, I went one too high. Metcalf, Cooks, Devontae Smith, Waddle. So, you know, I'm going to throw him in my loser column. I've not been super impressed with him this year anyways, but I do think they're going to run a whole lot against Detroit and that terrible rushing defense that they have. So they'll get Darrell Henderson going nuts, but not Bobby Trees, unfortunately, for me, because I have him in a league.
Tony, what are your thoughts?
I'm going to make him a snoozer. I think.
I hate you. I hate your face.
I like Woods this week in a bounce back game. He does have a somewhat favorable matchup against Detroit. But I think this is really a revenge game for Stafford. And I'm looking for both Kupp and Woods to have tremendous games this week against that Lion defense. So I'm going to put him in my top 10 as a wide receiver start.
Cool. Does it count as a revenge game for Stafford if the organization actually did him a favor and traded him to a better organization?
That's actually a fair question.
They gave him a gift, if nothing else. They were like, "Thank you for your service."
So let's then call it a revenge game on behalf of Megatron. He's defending his very close friend Megatron, who's
he's gonna murder Detroit on Megatron's behalf.
Exactly.
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot of love there between Stafford and the Detroit organization. So
I think you're right.
I think he wants to stick it to him.
Yeah, I get to play again. Okay, here we go. Robert Woods against Detroit. I do think now when you look at Detroit's pass defense, it looks to be a bad matchup for wide receivers, and they have on FantasyPros it's a 3.8 matchup, meaning it's not a great matchup for wide receivers. Now, why is that? It's because everyone runs the ball against them, because everyone's just able to run the ball against Detroit. So that doesn't mean it's a bad matchup. That just means game plan wise, and we talk about that a lot, is what does the game plan come down to? And I think they're going to run the ball a lot. Yes, Matt Stafford is going to get to throw the ball. They're still going to win. It's not just come out there like it's not a game just about Matt Stafford. And when he's throwing the ball at Cooper Kupp. So I'm actually going to throw him over into my loser column for the week. I'm throwing Kyle a bone there, and I'm going to side with him on one. Tony, maybe if you had followed up with another argument, Uh,
A little bonus argument there.
yeah,
Those George Washingtons.
yeah. You let me
Yeah,
think
you
it
need
through.
a couple of George Washington, the George Washington twins.
So I'm actually going to throw Bobby Trees, ranked 15th overall wide receiver, into the loser column this week. Split
Okay.
decision.
Man,
Alrighty.
like those Detroit, like you feel so bad for stars that end up in Detroit. Barry Sanders, Megatron. I mean, that's where studs go to die. Honestly, it's so sad. So at least they got Matt Stafford out before he retired.
Yeah, before it was too late. All right, you guys, I got one more wide receiver for you, and that is 22nd ranked Cordarrelle Patterson against Miami. I put him into the wide receiver, not the running back, but in some leagues he is dual.
Now, according to him, he is a football player. He's not any one position.
And I think that's fair. So we'll start with Tony here. 22nd ranked Cordarrelle Patterson against Miami in your wide receiver slot. What are you thinking?
I like him more in the running back slot if you can play him as a running back because there are so many good running backs on bye this week. So if he's dual eligible in your league, I prefer to play him as a running back as opposed to a wide receiver because I think as a running back, I probably see him top 10. But as a receiver, there are so many guys that I'm playing this week over him simply because he does not get the usage. And he was one of my players in my Wall Street last week to sell high on. He just is not getting enough routes run. He isn't. I think 24% of offensive snaps. And so he's been highly efficient with the targets that he's gotten, but I'm not a really big fan of Cordarrelle Patterson keeping his pace up for the remainder of the season. And so I'm going to call him a loser, but he's a guy who he's kind of an X factor. He could be a wild card. So I reserve the right to change my opinion next week, depending on how he plays on Sunday. No, I think this is the week we're going to see Calvin really move into a more dominant role. Kyle Pitts now seems to be working more and more into that offense. So yeah, I'm going to call him a loser.
All righty, Kyle, what do you think?
Yeah, I actually agree. That high efficiency per catch and all that, like that's not sustainable over the course of an entire season. It's kind of shocking he did it for 5 weeks before the bye in a row the way he did. But
remember week 5 they were without Ridley.
Yeah, that also. So as a wide receiver, I have him much lower. So yeah, he's a loser for me as well. No decision for you to make, sir.
That's fine. That's fine. I'll just stay out of this one.
I'm gonna have to keep my George Washingtons.
Yep,
exactly.
On that one you are for sure. All righty, let's move on to tight ends. I guess I can just stand up for this one. No, I'm just kidding. That's a bad joke. All right.
I can see your hind end right now.
It's pretty tight. I'm young.
Yeah.
Tight ends. I have number 2 ranked Mark Andrews versus Cincinnati. Kyle, we'll let you go first. Ranked 2nd overall against Cincinnati this week, Mark Andrews.
I mean, it's Cincinnati, I guess, has been pretty tough against tight ends, but Lamar Jackson has been looking Mark Andrews' way a ton. He obviously trusts him more than anybody else in that passing game. So, I mean, he's a snoozer for me. I'm starting him every week. It doesn't matter what the matchup is.
Also, let me correct that. PPR, he is number 3 tight end. Apologies.
Yeah. I wasn't going to say anything because you have the extra rankers, so I wasn't sure. But
Right.
Yeah, he's a snoozer for me. You're starting him every week no matter what.
All right. Tony, what do you think?
I think currently right now, the ranking, the tight end ranking weekly, because these guys really, I think, are matchup proof. You're not playing these guys based on matchup. So we're just simply talking about rankings. I think the rankings right now, week 7 moving forward, Kelsey, Mark Andrews, Darren Waller. So I think Andrews really belongs in that number 2 slot. Waller can jump back up into that slot depending on how they utilize him moving forward. He is still getting a strong target share. So, Waller could very easily jump back up and kind of be a 1B to Travis Kelsey. But we really need to see him start to gain more traction and see a larger and larger target share. So for right now, based on him being 3 in FantasyPros, they got to make him a snoozer because I have him at 2.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Would you call his production this year a surprise to you to be doing so well?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why for some reason that I maybe wasn't a full believer in Andrews. Maybe it was more a believer in Andrews and Lamar Jackson, but this guy's legit. He isn't going anywhere in the fantasy world. He's going to be a top 3 tight end for the next few years, barring any type of a setback or injury. So, if you got him in Dynasty, you got to love where you're at. And so, yeah, he has been a little bit of a surprise for me. I think I was not expecting him to maybe at least temporarily supplant Waller, but he's moving into elite category now.
Yeah, I had him at like number 6-ish coming into the season. So, he's outperformed my expectations as well.
And kind of what Kyle is saying, Lamar Jackson just looks his way an awful lot. He trusts him. He's got great hands. He's a great route runner. And so, I think you used to be where it was kind of, at least going into the season, Kelsey, Kittle, and Waller were the top 3. I think Andrews has replaced Kittle in that top 3.
Yeah, I agree with that. I had him preseason. I was thinking he was going to be pretty good, but no one else was really ranking him as high as I was thinking, and I thought I was just crazy. I'm like, maybe my love for Oklahoma Sooners is blurring my vision. I don't know. Maybe I've got my Sooner goggles on, but I'm not super surprised with it because he's been a go-to target for Lamar Jackson for a little time now. So, he's looking really good, and I wanted him over Hawkinson the whole time. Just throwing that out there. So, okay. Let's go on to the next tight end. It's our last tight end here. Number 12 overall. Let me just make sure. Yeah, it's still 12. Zach Ertz versus Houston. Let's see. Tony, we'll let you go first here. Zach Ertz against Houston, ranked 12th tight end this week.
I'm going to call him a snoozer. This guy's been around for a while. He's a savvy vet. I don't think it's going to take him long to integrate into that offense. You got to love, if you're Zach Ertz, you got to love where you landed. You went to Arizona, who's a serious contender. And they've got a high-powered passing offense. Max Williams is out. He is now their starting tight end. So this is a guy who we can see regain some of his prior glory in years past at the tight end position. And I'm definitely, he's absolutely top 10. I would even say, top 7 at the tight end position. I'd like to see how he integrates into that offense. But if you had Zach Ertz on your bench for a bye week, you gotta just be ecstatic that you got him and you've got a part of this offense, this Arizona offense. So, yeah, snoozer.
Cool. Kyle, how about you?
Yeah, I agree. I saw where a lot of people are like concerned. Oh, it's his first week in a new offense. But like Tony said, this guy's been around the block. All right, he's savvy. He's smart. He knows what he's doing. I don't think it'll take him as long to work into that offense as people are thinking. So, and the matchup is fantastic on top of that. So, yeah, I'm thinking he'll definitely be top 10, maybe a little higher for sure.
Yeah, I would say my only concern would be him learning blocking schemes and verbiage that quickly. That's pretty quick to learn that. So tight end is more than just receiving and athletic ability, right?
He's going there to catch passes.
Just saying, he's still got to be able to block.
He's going there to catch
You run this route, yes, sir. All
We're
right.
gonna say go get open.
Yeah. I think he's going to be super productive there, and I think that starts with a juicy matchup against Houston right there too. I mean, he couldn't have gotten a better.
It's a good game to get comfy with, right?
I tell you, welcome to Arizona. And it's in Arizona, so that helps. All right, guys. So that wraps up the ones I have for you. Let's go ahead and move on here to overtime and do some. Let's get your top snoozers and top losers just overall. We'll start with your. Let's go with your top losers first.
Okay.
And Tony, I'm curious to hear who your top overall loser of the week is this week.
I like to give you someone who isn't the obvious choice. And again, there's a guy I talked about last week in our Wall Street podcast. And this might surprise a few people, but I've got Jamar Chase this week on my he's on my loser list, and he's going up against very strong Baltimore defense who just shut down Keenan Allen and Mike Williams last week. It's going to be a very tough, difficult matchup for him. And I just don't think he can keep up the pace that he's on with his touchdown efficiency. It's around 25%. His catches have converted to touchdowns, which is ridiculous. And so I do expect Chase to come crashing back down to earth this week. And he's in for a really tough stretch of games. So he was one of the guys that we talked about as a potential sell high candidate. I'm not loving Jamar Chase this week. I mean, I think I would put him kind of looking at the lineups here. I definitely put him outside my top 20, maybe around 25 to 30 range at receiver position. Now, if you got him, you're not benching him, but he's my loser of the week.
Cool. Kyle, who's your top loser of the week this week?
First of all, I have to point out when he said Jamar Chase initially and you sneezed, it looked like you were reacting like I had to point out that was just hilarious.
I'm just allergic to bull. Oh, never mind. No, I'm just kidding.
To bull snoozer.
Yeah.
No.
Just kidding.
My loser of the week is actually Devontae Booker for the Giants. They're playing Carolina. And that matchup is just absolutely brutal. I know it's a big bye week, and with injuries at the running back position, like if you've got him, you probably have to start him. But if you have other options, I would definitely try to sit Devontae Booker versus that stout Carolina defense. That's going to be rough. I mean, FantasyPros already has him ranked at number 20, but I mean, there's guys after him I'd feel more comfortable with in that Carolina matchup for sure. Alex Collins doesn't have a great matchup either with New Orleans, but I feel better than Devontae. Dearness Johnson, so I would start Devontae Booker if I can help it.
All right.
Carolina's defense has been nasty.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. All right, then let's just roll straight into then who's your top snoozer of the week?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Jaylen Waddle. Get Jaylen Waddle in your lineup against Atlanta. Tua came back last week, looked really good. Jaylen Waddle went 10 for 13 for, I think it was like 70 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like, he just went crazy. Atlanta's defense is like throwing water through a screen door. So they're going to go completely crazy again this week. So get Jaylen Waddle in your lineups.
Sounds good. And Tony, top snoozer of the week for you.
Real quick, Kyle, does that take change if Devontae Parker and or Preston Williams are healthy?
No. Waddle's the guy.
We like Waddle no matter what.
Yeah, Waddle's the guy.
Okay.
I might worry about Gesicki a little bit more if Devontae's back.
Gesicki's been there, but Devontae Parker is a bit of a target magnet in that offense. So I didn't know if you felt that hurt Waddle's
No,
value at
I
all.
think Devontae coming back hurts Gesicki more than Waddle is what I was saying.
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, my snoozer of the week is going back to this Ram Detroit game is Darrell Henderson. I just love Darrell Henderson this week against this Detroit defense, which has second to last against running backs in fantasy. Darrell Henderson just looks healthy. He looks tremendous. I expect him to get plenty of touches against this defense, and I've got him in my top three. I've got him top three this week, so well, maybe top four. Henry, Kamara, Jones, and then I'm making a case for Darrell Henderson. I don't know who I'm starting over Darrell Henderson after those three guys.
Yeah, that's tough to argue.
I mean, I'm playing Henderson over Taylor. I'm playing him over Mixon. I'm playing him over Fournette. I like him that much.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like that.
Yep, hard to argue. All right, get them in your lineups then. Waddle and Henderson for sure. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this week's Snoozers or Losers. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.